Hi guys, as you can see in front of me we have 5 adapters, all slightly different, not exactly the same, but something that is great for scrapping. Why is it great for scrapping? Well, your traditional plug, this is a traditional UK plug, as you can see it has little brass prongs. Okay, sometimes within these plugs as well there is a little bit of copper that's attached to these brass prongs. Prongs that actually attach to the fuse. Okay, so you can get a little bit of brass and a little bit of copper out of these plugs. However, when it comes to adapters, you can also get more copper out of these because they either contain a copper toroid or they contain a transformer. Okay, so this one here, nice and heavy, I definitely know there's a transformer in that. This one, there's a little bit of weight to it, but not as much. It is an adapter, it is an AC adapter, so it may have a small one in it. And the same with these ones. That one definitely feels heavy enough that it does have. This one doesn't feel that heavy, and this one doesn't feel that heavy either. So the only way to find out if they all contain transformers or if they're slightly different inside is to take them apart. Do all AC adapters have a transformer in them? Well, let's find out. So, best way to open these up, give them a good smack with a hammer, or stick a little screwdriver on the partition piece and then smash the screwdriver with a hammer. Okay? First, we'll have to locate our hammer. Hammer located. Okay, so we've got on the vise. Should only have to break one side of it. Force it open. And there you go. Inside is a transformer. Put this with the rest of my plugs to take the brass out of that. Disappointing this one's not brass as well, but can't have everything. So there's our first little copper transformer. In my experience, these are always copper in the adapters. Okay, I've never came across one yet that hasn't been copper. So there's number one. Okay, first one out of the way. Plastic waste for brass recovery. On to number two. Okay, this one it says a switching adapter on it. Will it be the same? Okay, so this smaller one, as you can see, there is a little transformer in it. This one here, this is a little transformer, but obviously not the same as our last one. So we've got a little board in here that is holding the transformer and various other little components. Yeah, so we've got a little copper one here and a little copper one there. Okay, then you have a little couple of capacitors in there as well. But these two both contain copper as well. So again, always still good for your copper recovery. But as you can see, it wasn't one of our traditional transformers like this. Okay. Again, we put this one into our brass recovery to get our little brass prongs out. On to number 3. This one as well feels quite light, so I'm thinking that this one may be along the same lines as the last one we've done. Yeah. Snip the wires. And there you go, a little board again, okay? This one also has 2 little copper transformers in it. There's one here, and there's one here right on the edge covered in this rubbery goo. Okay, a very small one, this one. But again, 2 little transformers, and there's a little chip on this one as well, and a little capacitor. Okay, so the smaller ones are definitely giving us smaller boards with smaller transformers. We then come to this one. Okay, slightly different shape. This is a Telecom's adapter, so one I didn't think it come from a phone. I think it actually came from probably a modem. It does have little screws in it, so we'll see if our bit is good enough to get it out without having to smash it with a hammer. Okay, still going to need a little tap. Again, reveals a little board inside with a little transformer, okay? So these are like the little boards, obviously they're a bigger version than what I'm about to say, but these are like the little boards that you get in power packs. And that's essentially what these things are, they're like power packs, yeah? So this is what you'll see in like a laptop power pack, but on a larger scale. And again, this piece goes into our little bag for the brass recovery for later. And then we get to our bigger one. So this one is quite a big unit. Should be a bigger transformer. Let's have a look. Let's weigh it. Okay. So it weighs 1 pound 0.4 ounces. If we change the unit on that, it weighs 465 grams, 0.6. 455.6 grams. So just under half a kilo. Okay? So let's get the transformer out of it and see how much that weighs. So same idea. On the partition, give it a tap. Separate it 2 halves. There's our plastic waste. Or you can actually keep that as a little box for your screws. Reuse, recycle, guys. And then we'll separate the transformer from the socket plugs. Okay, again, nice brass prongs there. They'll go into our brass recovery. And then we're left with our transformer. Now, this is quite a nice transformer. I'm going to take off the excess. try and get a bit of a true weight of the transformer. Okay, so take off our insulated wire. Take that off there as well. Into our insulated wire bag, and here's our transformer. Let's get that weighed up again. Okay, so again, pounds and ounces first for my American friends. And it weighs, let me just check again, because I didn't like that, it didn't look right. Let's do grams first. 376.2 grams. Which is 13.3 ounces, it says. Okay, so that's what we've got. How do we take this apart? Well, there's a couple of ways to take them apart if you want. Okay, one way is to take the fins off, which can be quite difficult and quite time consuming, and actually can be a bit of a pain on your hands. This one's quite easy to come out, and depending on how you want to pull the copper out of that, this can be a nice easy way to do it, but it's certainly more difficult than using the machete method. Okay, the machete method you've seen lots and lots of times. I actually I don't have a big machete, so what I use is I actually use a meat cleaver as such. Okay, so the other way to do that is to put in the meat cleaver and then bang through it and go straight through the transformer. Okay, now that is a really nice easy method. I prefer to keep the winding together on these small ones, especially if they're really easy just to remove the fins, like this one is. Sometimes they're glued in together and they're actually really quite difficult to remove. This one is easy, it's just falling apart as I pull it apart. So, I'm just actually going to just pull the fins off this. Okay, and that way I can keep the copper windings together. I'm not dealing with lots of little bits of copper. But obviously for bigger transformers, this is not the way to do it. Get the machete in and bang right through it, yeah? That's certainly the quickest and most efficient way. Okay, but I'm obviously doing this just to show you guys there is other ways of doing it. And not every way has to be the quickest way. That can be really about, why you do it. This is just me spending some time out taking stuff apart, and I enjoy doing this, so that's why I'm doing this method. However, I'm sure you're not that interested in seeing me doing it this way, so I'll bring you back once we've got all the metal off, and then we can see what the copper itself weighs. And there we go, guys, so there's all the fins taken off. Even though I sped that up, as you can see, it didn't take a long time at all to actually get those fins off. Okay, so again, it's not the quickest, most efficient method, but as I say, I don't like dealing with little kind of fragments of copper. So if they're little like this, and it's easy enough to take those fins apart the way I just did it, then sometimes I'll use that method as well. Alright, so we'll get the plastic off the copper. Okay, here's our two little copper cells. Not a massive amount of copper. Remembering what it weighed in the first place. And the whole point here is, see how much it weighs once we remove all the plastic and we remove all the metal. Okay, so at the moment what I'm doing here is, again, a couple of methods of doing this. You can take the top part off. So as you can see, there's a piece with the top part on, there's a piece with the top part off. Okay, and all that makes it easier to do is just to unwind it and pull it out. Okay, we'll get all the tape off it. Okay, we were able to pull that bottom piece out there. So now it really is just the copper and some of the tape that's left on it. See if we can find the end of this tape and pull it off. Okay, all the tape off it, there's a little bit of copper. Okay, one side done, one side to go. Again, take the top piece off. With these transformers, as with most transformers, you will find that one half of the copper winding is thicker than the other. I'm not an electrician, I'm not an expert on electronics. So if anyone knows why that is, then let me know. I'm sure all my fellow scrappers and friends out there will know the answer to that question. Alrighty. So once again, we've got the plastic off it. We just need to get off this horrific yellow tape. Not a fan of the yellow tape, I must say. Alright, so now we have our two copper windings. Okay, as I said, you can see the copper on that one is thicker than the copper on that one. Yeah. So let's weigh it. I'm going to start off on grams this time, and it weighs 43.9 grams. Let's call it 44. Yeah, 43.9, 44, and that is 1.5 ounces. So not a lot of copper, guys. 1.5 ounce of copper. It's not a great deal. Took me a few minutes to take it apart. Again, is that worth your time? Is that worth your effort? That is from one adapter. Yeah. I'm not going to measure up the copper that I got from the other adapters, because it's really those big ones you're wanting to get the transformers out of. We do have a smaller transformer as well to take apart. We'll get a little bit more copper out of that as well. But as you can see, the bigger transformers, 1.5 ounces of copper, you know, to me, worth scrapping and worth pulling that copper out of the adapter itself. So When you're thinking about plugs, guys, plug soup, absolutely fantastic for your brass recovery, but make sure, obviously, the plastic encased plugs as well, that you're checking them. If they are adapters, then you can be sure that you're going to find a transformer in there, be that one of the big ones that have the metal fins, or be that a smaller transformer that just has a little bit of ferrite on the outside. Either way, they're transformers, and transformers contain copper. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate you stopping by as always to Scrap in Scotland, and we'll see you on next teardown. Bye for now.